All right, welcome to the latest edition of the 941 Sports Zone. I'm, Spitz, Golden Temple Englishman. I'll explain. You're John, bring on Copperhead Masoni,
Be
and you're going to
explained
bring
as
it
well.
on Thursday morning. You and your gang are heading up to Copperhead to play a little
A
golf, huh?
little weekend up there. So we get 2 rounds at Copperhead, 2 rounds on the South course. Both nice. Copperhead obviously having the layout that it's a very tough challenge. So everybody's skills will be put to the test. So, but looking forward to it. Kind of looking at the weather like I normally do for what I do in the most of the day. I was always checking the weather out because of my work, but they're saying we're going to have a pattern. It's going to be a little west to east, so maybe some morning passing kind of thing. So hopefully that'll work out for us.
Usually not as severe in the morning as in the afternoon, so that's
No, and
usually
we're
a good
not
thing.
really into the heart of rainy season. The ground won't be saturated. That's nice. So that'll be something a little different. Yeah.
All right, the 941 Sports Zone presented as always by Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida, locally owned and nationally backed, delivering exceptional roofing for homes and businesses up and down the Gulf Coast. 941-251-4257 is the number, 941-251-4257. Let's start with something that involves the 941, which we really didn't think we would have.
Right. We thought we'd be in a lull for about 6 weeks.
But Cherie DeVoe, Lemon Bay grad, did it again. The Belmont Stakes on Saturday. The interesting thing about this, John, and the reason that I bet Golden Tempo, I didn't hear one single expert pick the horse.
Right.
I didn't, and I guarantee you, I heard at least 20 to 25 different opinions amongst the two horse racing networks, soon to be only one, that are on the air, and not one person picked Golden Tempo. And listen, the horse, I think, proved himself without beyond the shadow of a doubt. Did not have the same hot, wicked pace to run at. As a matter of fact, the half was a very pedestrian 48-2. The leaders weren't really hard pressed. 3/4 was in 112. And for those of you who know horse racing, that's just very moderate fractions, usually very difficult to close into. And yet Golden Tempo was set up. Again, Jose Ortiz with another tremendous ride, made every decision. It was eerily similar to the Derby. Had to go between horses to start, then found his way to the outside. He was between horses when they turned for home, and he had the most kick of anybody in the race.
Yeah, I mean, now if I'm not mistaken, the length of the race at Belmont this year was the same as the Derby.
Correct,
So I think
because it's at Saratoga, and they can't do a mile and a half because you can't have a fair start because you would start literally on a turn.
Right. So that being the case, I know there was a difference in for the Preakness. So I mean, I know this we can talk about that as we get in more into the story. Some people are saying, well, why didn't you do the Preakness? You could have been Triple Crown winner, this and that. I don't know if the horses just wasn't built for that that ride, that mileage. The distance was perfect for the horse. Both times coming from behind, had enough time to catch up, but not a lot of time to sort of get tired, if you want to say that. So hats off. Another really well-ridden ride, and a well-prepared horse.
Yeah, no question about it. She did tell everybody that would listen that the horse was improving. But, again, everybody, Renegade, it's really interesting because a lot of times, and again, I'm a horse player, so I'm going to speak from a little experience. When you see a race and you see that one horse beat the other horse by a neck, and one horse is 8-5 and the other horse is 6-1, and you're talking about the same 1.25 mile distance, well, you always bet the 6-1. And in this case, Golden Tempo went off at 6. I still can't believe the horse paid $14 to win. And I know there was a lot of people in Renegade's corner, and he had his ride. He had his trip. He had his chance. Golden Tempo looked him in the eye and put him away before he put Commandment away.
Right. And again, and I said, so, you know, let's just say that I feel like, based on now that the story's been told as far as the Triple Crown is concerned, that everything that could be done, to have the horse prepared, like I said, was done to perfection. Because when you say it's the same ride, the same way, right? Because the game plan was the game plan. Stay back, don't get caught up, go whatever, find your spot, you know, go out to the outside, everything the same way. And when so it was so well mapped out, so well thought out for that particular horse and that particular two races, that you really it's hard to have that argument about why didn't you run the Preakness, because I think that was the plan, that this is going to work out better for them. And now you can say, validation on the horse. If you thought there was that horse was worth some money after the Kentucky Derby, it's worth probably double that now,
at least.
So I think that if you're looking at everything, that you're looking at it from an insider's perspective, or that this was done to perfection.
And for the second straight year, the horse that won the Derby skipped the Preakness and won the Belmont, and pretty much in the same fashion. So it brings back the conversation, and it's getting louder by the day. You know, and the reason the horse wasn't brought back is because he had never run races that close together within 2 weeks. The horses usually got a 4 to 5 to 6 week break. And, you know, Cherie DeVaux and the entire team thought, hey, you know, why mess with success? And so now the people that, you know, the Triple Crown, you have and I mean, there is nobody in the middle. You either, hey, the Triple Crown's been this way forever and a day, it should stay this way. And you've got, listen, we don't train horses like that anymore. We really need to look into maybe, you know, the Derby in May, first week in May, Preakness first week in June, Belmont first week in July. What corner are you in, John?
I think as times change, you have to adapt. Okay, you have to adapt. If you don't, then you're never going to see a Triple Crown winner again. I shouldn't say that, but it's already hard enough. It'll be almost non-existent at that point. The only thing I can say to you is that the idea of the race being the way it's been run, do we now put that asterisk on there that says, well, before they did this and now it's this? It's no different than saying Babe Ruth hit 60 home runs, you know, in 100 and something games, and after that went to 162. And you can't, you know, if you're going to change everything, it changes the whole dynamic of what the race has been built on. But again, you have to figure out, for the athlete, which is the horse in this particular case, specialties and again, horse racing is about making money. Let's face facts. Okay, that's the deal. The horse wins, everybody wins, they make money. But now that they're looking at it, they're not just looking at it by saying, well, let's throw our best 3-year-old in the Derby and try to win the Triple Crown. Now it's like, no, let's put our 3-year-old in the best chance to win, so it's a better deal for us on the long term. So I think it does need to change. The month to month thing is interesting to me, but maybe they could even condense it down to, you know, 3 weeks and then 4 weeks or something along those lines. They can find a way if they want to.
Absolutely. And that's going to be the key, is if they want to. Golden Tempo, it's very interesting now. The horse, obviously Cherie DeVaux, who we you know, is a Lemon Bay grad, but she actually was born and raised in Saratoga Springs. So it was a homecoming for her there. She had a huge crowd there. And now Golden Tempo, you know, the way things shape up, there are a couple of prep races for what's called the Midsummer Derby, which is the Travers, which just happens to be at the same track and the same distance that they just ran the Belmont at Saratoga, 1.25 miles at Saratoga. The horse could train up to that, and it would be it'd be a significant layoff. It'd be about 10 weeks, maybe even 11. Or you can run in one of what they call the prep races, which either is the Haskell at Monmouth or the Jim Dandy at Saratoga. And again, the horse has already shown that he likes Saratoga. So I know it's an eighth of a mile shorter. It's only a mile and an eighth. And that may be a detriment to the horse. The horse might be better going longer. So that's what they thought with Sovereignty last year. So you got a decent price in the Jim Dandy last year with Sovereignty. So it's very interesting. You know, the other interesting thing, John, this might even be the best 3-year-old in her stable.
Yeah.
The horse that ran a couple of races before in a race called the Woody Stevens at 7 furlongs, Englishman, all he did was win by 6 lengths and broke the track record at Saratoga. Now, let's keep in mind, Saratoga's been around since Nebuchadnezzar. It's been around forever.
Yeah.
And this horse ran the fastest 7 furlong race ever at Saratoga, 120.40, which means 120 and 2, basically, if you do the fifth of a second thing, and won by 6 lengths. The greatest thing to me, John, and I don't know if you've seen this video, but they obviously had a cutaway to Cherie DeVaux as the horse is entering the stretch. She stands up, then she turns to her person. She goes, I don't even have to cheer this one on. This is done.
Yeah.
I mean, it was hilarious because she had another one of them moments, you know, in the Belmont. She was screaming and yelling and they were hugging and doing everything else. This one was like, oh, yeah, well, Englishman. And he ran the fastest Beyer figure. Now, Beyer figures is what DRF uses. You know, if the track was the same and it's hard to explain, but he ran the highest Beyer figure in a very long time, 115. Now, this horse is not a router, and she figured that out early. As a matter of fact, he ran in the Pate Mile at Churchill Downs on Derby Day. That's a mile race. Ran well for 3/4 and then got run down by Crude Velocity, who was in another zip code this past Saturday. So she knows she's got a sprinter on her hands, and this horse is going to make her a lot of money too. She is, you talk about on top of the world.
Right. There's no doubt about it. And she and again, the story is, you know, is really fantastic in regards to her climb through the ranks and getting to where she's at. So yeah, it's good to see a local. It's a local story, but it's a pretty decent national story as well.
Absolutely, and one of these days they'll leave her alone for a little while, and we'll be able to get her on. I am still going to be pushing hard for that. But I mean, you look at the interviews now. Even on Sunday morning, she did a couple of interviews. She looked dead on her feet, but she had horses running Sunday, and she was there, and she was there to saddle them. I mean, that's what horse people do. They,
right.
You know, it's
a lot.
Belmont Stakes was great.
That's their passion. That's what they love. So there's no doubt about that.
So, all right. So there you go. That's a wrap on the Triple Crown. And again, the 941 Sports Zone presented by Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida, 941-251-4257. Locally owned but nationally backed. They do a tremendous job. Get those roofs taken care of before we get into the meat of the rainy season and, dare I say, hurricane season. 941-251-4257. Got some
Can't
interesting.
Avoid it, Rich. Can't avoid the saying that hurricane season is there, and you got to be aware of it. So there's, you know, we're all hoping that forecast though is correct.
Yes, absolutely. And even if there's one, it's nowhere near us, if you will.
Yeah.
I still consider it, even though I'm up in just north of Boston, I still consider it us.
It is. It
definitely let's make sure it's not July 24th.
Yes.
Which is our high school football preview, which is going to be at Carroll GMC. Looking forward to it. We're going to keep telling you all about it. Trying to get hold of all the coaches. If you're a coach that watches this and you see John Massoni come up on your phone, pick it up.
Yeah.
If you want to.
They're good. They respond pretty well. I always thinking like, do they remember me? Because I always put, this is John Massoni, you know. But it's good, the idea of having a media day and having it sort of work the way it works. I think that they are all on board. I think we mentioned how media has become a huge part of high school in terms of what the kids expect from the program, social media side of things, all that stuff. So they really, it really makes their experience in athletics very much all encompassing as far as especially if you're going to go to the next level. Something that you can really enjoy.
All right, I'm going to deviate a little bit from this, John, because we do have some breaking news as we come to you late Monday afternoon. And
is it what I think it is? Is it Texas Tech?
Yes, it is Texas Tech. And quite frankly, I'm shocked. A judge has issued a temporary injunction that favors Brendan Sorsby, who is supposed to make $5 million this year as quarterback of Texas Tech. And even though the NCAA has ruled him ineligible, the injunction says he's eligible and he can play. Now, I know this is not the end of this, but John, I am stunned that a judge, looking at all of the information provided to him, actually ruled in this manner.
Rich, everybody in the United States of America is stunned except for this judge.
Yeah.
Okay. Stunned. 2 games against, how a season starts off with directional U, and maybe you get another game. So nothing really lost in that particular case.
Right.
To think that this is, sort of hearing more of the details, he bet $90,000 while he was at Indiana. Okay. $90,000. This is not a oopsie betting with your buddies in the dorm. That's the worst case scenario that any team, pro or college, wants to see, where their quarterback, the guy who has the most control of any, no offense, but if an offensive lineman is betting on the games, I mean, he can olay a guy through there, but the quarterback, he can make anything happen in a game if he wants to. So, yeah, this isn't over, but the idea that somebody would sort of, I can't even imagine the logic behind this, whatever that may be. Either you have no clue, or you're totally clueless in regards to what sports is about, which could be the case, or you are very much aware of what happens in college, and you're a Texas Tech Red Raider fan or booster or whatever you are, and you're moving that direction. And either it's criminal or it's what's the word I'm looking for? Criminal or naive or uninformed. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's the difference. And even if I'm Texas Tech, in some ways, well, the judge said so, but I would even think that might even say, look, let's get 3, or let's say we'll give them 4 games off, whatever. Maybe that nobody wants to go back, but it's crazy. It's a crazy deal altogether.
It's absolutely nuts. Looking at Texas Tech's schedule, they open with the juggernaut that is Abilene Christian.
Right.
They do take a trip out to Corvallis, Oregon, to take on Oregon State in week 2. The first game he is supposed to be eligible is actually a Friday night Fox game. How about that? Against Houston. I tell you. My goodness. I don't think we've heard the end of this, John. I really don't.
Well, everybody's on board. Usually NCAA is like this is a game. This is you're ruining the sport. I mean, that's pretty much what they're saying. Everybody, sports reporters, the NCAA writers, the college football writers, they're all saying, how in the world could this happen? It's not even like. Shocking is when there's a chance for something happen. This is like, it's unprecedentedly stupid, and I don't know how else to put it. It's really bad. It's dumb.
All right, so stay tuned. I'm sure that story is going to have more legs as we get further and further into June and July. But as of right now, Brendan Sorsby is the quarterback of the Texas Tech Red Raiders, and he's going to make $5 million for playing 2 less games than he was originally supposed to play. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and that's the other thing now with the money. Okay, so what do you do if you know that you're going to go back to court and you think to yourself, well, how do we even get here at this point? Do you start paying this guy? Because what if they turn around in 3 weeks from now or 4 weeks and say, no, you're off again? So what do you do? You're going back and forth.
Well, he isn't going to get paid until he actually starts playing. So at least that part is
okay. That's fine.
Good. Yeah. But you don't know about the other NIL stuff. I mean,
absolutely.
If you're a business owner in Lubbock, Texas, are you on board with maybe him, doing some NIL stuff for your business? I certainly can't be.
Well, the other thing he's got notoriety. It may not be the kind of notoriety you want, but maybe he's a name that just everybody says, "Oh, look there's the guy there selling cars or chicken wings or whatever he's selling," that kind of thing.
Yep.
So who knows?
All right, let's move on to a story that's kind of gotten some traction and not in a good way. The Tampa Bay Rays. So they have really hit the skids. They've lost 10 of their last 13, and combine that with the Yankees win on Sunday, and now they're in a virtual tie in the AL East, and they lost 2 of 3 to the Marlins. So think about this. Their last several series, in this 10 of 13 losing streak, they're losing to teams like the Tigers, who were last in the American League, the Marlins, who are decent, but certainly nothing to write home about. This was supposed to be an easier part of the schedule, and it's been anything but for Tampa Bay. And they lose 2 of 3 after scoring 6 runs in the first game. They score 3 runs in the second game, 2 of those in the 9th inning against their former closer, Pete Fairbanks, and they only score 1 on Sunday. Now, Sandy Alcantara is a really good pitcher, and he'll be pitching for somebody else in August, because I guarantee you the Marlins are going to unload him, because they already have the lowest salary, and Alcantara actually, I think, is about 1/8 of their entire salary for the year. So, it's not like they lost to some bad pitcher on Sunday, but still, nonetheless, the bats have quieted down. The fielding hasn't been nearly as good. Steven Matz, left-handed pitcher, was demoted to the bullpen after several shaky starts, and the starters have kind of gone back and forth with good game, bad game. Shane McClanahan Saturday, not so great. Gave up 4 runs in 5 innings. Dennis Rasmussen at least pitched well on Friday. But right now, the Rays are definitely scuffling at a time when they should be making hay, because Aaron Judge is out at least 4 to 6 weeks for the Yankees.
So we said something last week about how Major League Baseball there's been a lot of streakiness to it. Didn't the Mets lose like 12 games in a row, and then somebody won a bunch of games in a row? So I think that it's the Rays.
It's a marathon.
Right, but I think with the Rays, in some ways, have sort of set a tone, or set a sort of a track that other teams are doing. Like the A's are having a good run, right? Let's just say the A's. Do we think they're going to be there at the end with all this situation going on with them? Probably not.
Right.
So I think this streakiness comes along with a lot of, taking a risk on a guy who might have a wonky arm, and he starts off great, then he misses a start or 2, and then this comes in, and you can only win with a roster of 45 guys for so long, because you know what I mean, like one guy's in, one guy's out, one's going to AAA, one's moving here, one's moving there. It's like this constant evolution of the team. It's like this organism that keeps moving forward and changing itself and morphing into something else. And you see it in other organizations now. So the Rays with their way of sort of handling their payroll and handling their lineups and how they do certain things. Maybe the Rays have maybe somebody said, by the way, there's how many ex-Ray general managers or worked in the front office of the Rays are out there? Quite a few. So it may be out there that this is sort of what's going on, and this is maybe how baseball is going to be. You're not going to have a consistent winner. You're going to have a 7-8 game winning streak and a 10-game losing streak and whatnot, because it all depends on how healthy you stay and how you can finagle and move your lineup around to make that happen.
All right. The other thing we want to talk about is the bats have cooled off, except for Yandy Diaz, who continues. They only had 5 hits on Saturday. He had 3 of them and a couple of RBIs. And now some people, well, actually, it's really been since spring training, whispers that if the Rays are not buyers but sellers, that he could definitely be one guy on the block. And he probably will bring the most, maybe other than Junior Caminera, who they're not getting rid of at age 22. So this should be a very interesting next 2 months here.
He's the guy who will go this time.
Yeah.
It's you see a lot of over the years, other guys going away, and he's the next guy. If they're going to go and sell off players, he's definitely the next guy to go.
Yeah, so we hope the Rays will be buyers and not sellers. Aaron Judge, and again, one of our fond listeners in the Jacksonville area, kind of hit me up this weekend's like, and he's a Yankees fan. I'll admit that. And I mean, we know both of I'm not a Yankees fan. But I do follow New York sports. I grew up in New York.
Sure.
You grew up in New
Right.
York. I thought it was interesting. Saturday night, they had an interesting broadcast on Fox. They had Derek Jeter, David Ortiz, and A-Rod in the booth with Kevin, and I always forget Kevin's last name. The guy that does the football too with Brady. Kevin Earhart. Yeah, Earhart, I think his name is. But anyway, I thought it was interesting what Jeter said, because a lot of people were talking about the fact, Judge is going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. Guys like Ben Rice are not going to see Chisholm. They're not going to see pitches that they did when he was in the lineup. Cody Bellinger and these guys really need to step up. Whereas I think a lot of other people think the Yankees might make an early move, because this injury, first of all, it's 4 to 6 weeks, and then they'll reevaluate him. And he's got a fractured hip. That you really can't do anything in baseball if you've got a fractured hip. And if you don't let it heal completely and you do something to it again, you're done. And if you're done, I think the Yankees are done. Whereas Jeter said on the broadcast, listen, the other guys have got to step up. If they're worthy to be New York Yankees, they need to step up. Where are you on this, John?
Oh, I agree. And by the way, the worst thing you can hear as an athlete is a hip issue. That's Bo Jackson, right? Mm-hmm. That's a hard recovery.
Finished his career. Yep.
Absolutely. So I would say this: if the Yankees are the Yankees and they are competitive, obviously they're tied with the Rays, they will make a move. There's no doubt in my mind they'll make a move.
But this isn't, Hal Steinbrenner is not George Steinbrenner.
True.
As a matter of fact, he's very frugal with their money.
But I also look at it and say that if you said the team has got a good enough makeup to go far into the playoffs and maybe win a championship, whatever it may be, it's hard for New Yorkers and the fan base, which they're loud and proud as far as Yankees go, to sit around and say, yeah, you know what? Don't jump after somebody else. Just do what you got to do. Bring somebody up from the minors. That's not a Yankee thing. They're right now. I bet you today, if you listen to probably New York radio, they were saying, I say we trade these two guys to so and so for this one. They're already playing, GM, and they're figuring out who they're going to get and who's going to. And when Judge comes back, he can slide over to the right, whatever, that kind of thing. So I just think it's the idea. Now another thing too, I will say to this, Yankees like the back page. They like being on the back page a lot. And the Knicks will be on the back page if everything keeps going a certain way for a long time. And so if the Knicks do it and the Yankees decide they're going to take a year off from doing it, I'm not so sure how the fan base will take to that.
It won't take it well at all. And, I can tell you from living here in the Boston area that the Red Sox over the last few years have tried to do things on the financial or the fiscally responsible side, and the fans hate it.
Sure.
They hate, they got one of the former Rays GMs was their GM for just a couple of years, and they couldn't stand him because he was trying to do it the Rays way. And the fans they're like, we're not the Rays. We have money. We need to spend money. And John Henry's not doing that. So there's a definite, and attendance is down pretty significantly, not just because the team has been toiling around the cellar, but I think the fan base is just frustrated with ownership and management, and they've had enough. They want Craig Breslow out. They want John Henry out. So, I think New York would be very similar if they don't do anything to improve this team. I didn't think they were good enough with Judge. So I think they've got to go out. This is their excuse to go out and get somebody early.
Right. And as far as I'm trying to think back to when I was a kid, Red Sox had a great run with the World Series. And so it's 75 with the Reds.
75. And so, yeah. Yep.
One of the best series of all time. I remember the Red Sox always being they had a great lineup, but they were never obviously a winning. They never won, that kind of thing. And I think I'd say since 01, 02, the Red Sox have really taken on that. You know what? We are equal to the Yankees. We're not going to mess around. We're gonna whatever they can do, we can do better. And they took them on instead of trying to be like the little brother trying to beat the big brother once every 100 years. They set out to be equals with them, and they are. So I can understand why the fan base is saying like, no. We're not going to go back and be what we were before. We're not going to be Tampa. We're going to be Boston, and we're going to be right there when they say, "Give me the top teams from both leagues." We're going to hear Dodgers, Yankees, Red Sox. You're going to go through those names.
Yep,
right. The names you expect to be there. So I think that the Red Sox won't sit around and just let the season wither away. The Yankees, again, I just honestly believe that the Yankees will make a move. I don't listen, Rich. I don't think it's going to be for a guy of like a massive trade, but I think the Yankees could probably find themselves a very capable guy in that lineup, with probably not losing a ton of collateral in that case. So I think that's what you'll see, because if they start to go on the schneid, boy, people are going to start looking around, and that's not a good feeling if you're a Yankee front office guy or owner or a player for that matter, to hear that the fan base is in an uproar.
Yeah. One other baseball note: Tariq Skubal is already in rehab. The Tigers' ace lefty, and he actually pitched very well. I think he pitched 5 innings in his rehab start. Looked good. Had some. Was in control of things. I'm actually watching some highlights as we speak. So a lot of people think, well, that means he's just that much closer to being traded, because a lot of people think if he shows in July that he's healthy, he's gone. He's the Scott Boras guy. Scott Boras, they're not going to re-sign with the Tigers. I don't think the Tigers can give him the kind of money he's looking for. So Dodgers, Yankees, Phillies, the usual suspects will be bidding for his services. So I thought it was interesting, because I thought the timeline was a little further up the road, but I really think that this is driven by the fact that he is looking to get out of Detroit sooner than later.
And again, what you said about his agent, Scott Boras, he's always been the guy that sort of, I don't know how good he has been for baseball. You know what I'm saying? He does his job well for his clients, and that's really all his own responsibility is for that. But he's not a very well-liked guy in the baseball world, and so he's gonna, if he doesn't care if the Yankees and the Dodgers have all of his players, he knows they're gonna get paid. He's gonna get paid, and so be it for the rest of the league.
I think. Well, I don't know. I think he should stay with the Tigers, but I can't see any scenario other than he doesn't pitch well in July, and nobody really wants to pay the kind of money for him.
Yeah, I guess I think that's and you would think that Detroit baseball, they've had their moments. Let's just say, right. So it's not the worst. It's not the worst case scenario. It's not. You're not just in obscurity. You're playing in a big market. I don't know. I just it's kind of hard to say, because all I can think of is thinking that Scott Boras is going to walk into the Tigers and say, "Okay, you guys ready to pay this much money?" And it's because we're staying here only if this is the number, and it's probably something that nobody would pay, and he's just going to move on from there.
Except the Dodgers, of course.
Right. They can afford it. They'll do whatever they got to do. Right.
Exactly. And this, they're still quote unquote negotiating. We're still looking at a December 1st end of the collective bargaining agreement. And, if they trade Skubal to one of the big boys, I think that just drives a bigger wedge between the owners and the players, especially the haves owners, if you will.
Well, let me ask you this. Paul Skeens, right? I've heard that there's no way he stays in Pittsburgh. There's no way. So again, do we remember We Are Family? And Pittsburgh was a great franchise with a great lineup. Willie Stargell, Dave Parker, can go down the
79
list.
World Series, tremendous.
Absolutely. And so you look at that and you say, they were always a top level team. And now you can't keep a guy off a rookie contract. It's kind of hard to be good when that's the fate you have to expect.
So, are you like me? Salary cap has to be for
listen,
balance.
I totally feel that way, and I've been talking about how well covered baseball has been this year. NBC's done a great job. There's a lot of places to watch a baseball game if you want to.
Right.
And it's been really there's something in place now with the network that I think really can get baseball to get some of the fan base back. But if they don't get it right, so many people think about this: the inner workings of baseball, as far as trading and drafting and everything, is very convoluted. It's got a lot of mishmash to everything else. And and again, the money, luxury taxes, and all this other stuff, right? Then look at the most popular sport, which is football. It's transparent. You're watching them do their job on prime time when they're doing the draft, right? You know the ins and outs of why you would trade this one person for this situation. Everybody has the same amount of money to spend. So your GM is not like somebody who can hang around for 30 years and kind of be mediocre, because eventually you say, wait a second, why are we not able to get better? And then of course now as you look at it in the NFL, we don't blame general managers in the long haul of a bad team. We blame ownership, and rightfully so, because they're the numbskulls who can't get the front office right or the right people involved. So I think with baseball, that if they have an opportunity to kind of recapture maybe some fans who just don't want to put the time into it, the tempo of the sport has gotten better. There really is there's some interesting things happening. The World Baseball Classic, I think, is also a thing that really sort of has ignited a little bit more interest in baseball. But if they don't do this to get this next deal right, it's gonna become more and more of the haves and the have-nots. I would tell you, while baseball wants to expand like every other league, sometimes I think that they're moving towards a point where they're saying we're going to close up franchises rather than move them around and try other markets. I think that's going to happen because the NBA. I've used this analogy before. There was a point in time where they were going to go broke. It was over, and I'm talking late '90s, early 2000s. I want to say that was, and they had to make an NHL that was in the same boat as well. So I'm not saying baseball is in that kind of situation, but it wouldn't surprise me if some teams just become, just obsolete. They're just going to be the bottom dwellers, and that's where you go. And then when it's like almost like Premier League, where you're relegated to play in with Miami, but if you get good enough, someone will come and grab you up, and you get pulled up to the next level.
All right. By the way, you heard the Mighty Dog in the background earlier. Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida, bringing you this and every episode of the 941 Sports Zone Run, episode 42, John. 42, 10 before the full year.
Does the Mighty Dog like chicken wings also on Monday night?
No, he does. He loves chicken wings. Monday night, 50-cent wings up here at the place we go. 941-251-4257 is the number. 941-251-4257. Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida. Locally owned, but they have national backing. All right. A couple of things. I want to bring one more baseball thing up before we move on to the NBA and the Stanley Cup Finals. Last week, as was expected, the Bucks raised their hand. All this money is going to the Rays, and the Bucks are like, wait, we need improvements to Raymond James Stadium. We don't have, we were here first, and we're here, as opposed to them moving here. Right. And that's kind of started to enter into the conversation. And is Tampa going to be in an either or situation? Because the Bucks, the way things are now, are probably not going to get another Super Bowl until they do some major work to Ray J. And there were a lot of people that knew this was coming, and now it's here. And the Rays people are starting to get a little nervous because, the memo of understanding is one thing, but it's non-binding. And now, that Tampa, now that the Bucks have raised their hand, John, this starts to get a little dicey.
So, Rich, I've sort of taken a break from the stadium talk, not following a lot of different stuff. But you tell me this: didn't the governor come out and say that the state was willing to kick in some money for the
absolutely?
So, with that being the case, and Tampa Bay is a decent sized market. Television market is like 11 in the country. So
they're 11. I think it's top 10 now.
Yep. They've had Super Bowls here. Obviously, weather is a big deal as well. They've had championship teams as well. Tom Brady came to the Bucks to try to win a championship, and he did. So what are we fussing over? Is it just because, again, is it because the Havoc camps don't want to spend their teetotaling money on that? They want to spend it on a walkway along the road or whatever that, you know what I'm saying? Are we going to step up and get ourselves and be a don't not having to have an either or scenario? Let's do both, because both means bigger, better for Tampa. Okay, let's stop complaining about, well, we don't need this, we don't need that. It's so it's so I don't want to put this, but so small of them to think that we can't do this and we can't do that. You have 3 franchises in Tampa, not 4. Okay, you have 3. Mm-hmm. So you're still not up there with the big boys, but you're there. You're close. You had successful baseball. Successful football, successful hockey, obviously, and you've had better than average success with the Rays. So what's the complaint? It's what defines some cities in a situation. I don't get the pushback. I don't understand the pushback. I think they have to step up and finally say, this is where we are. This is who we are. And I will say this to you. This back and forth with the Rays as far as trying to get everything done, I think clearly St. Petersburg, now that you look at it, has been a terrible partner with the Rays. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying that the Rays ownership has been top-notch either, but from both sides of it, it hasn't really worked out, my opinion. There's this idea that take it or leave it. We know the Trop is the Trop. You signed a piece of paper. Tough luck on you. Then they try to redo the situation, and then it gets all jumbled up every single time. There was something else that came along with it. Now you've got energy behind it, a facility that's going to have the college be renovated, everything else. You know what? Tampa if Tampa is the big boy, let's step up and be the big boy and not complain about it.
All right. Speaking of big boys, the New York Knicks have played like big boys in the first 2 games in San Antonio. We're recording this late Monday afternoon, Game 3. There's already fans lined up to get into the Garden because Mr. President is heading in and security is heightened. A lot of Knicks fans are upset because they feel that Donald Trump is messing with their mojo because they can't have any outdoor parties because of, the president being here and the heightened security. Let's look at what's going on the court. The Knicks won the first 2 games. They made the plays down the stretch. Game 1 was tied. Actually, San Antonio had a 1-point lead with about 2 minutes to go, and the Knicks scored the last 11 to win Game 1. And Game 2, it looked like San Antonio was the team that was making the run. They were 14 down in the fourth quarter, got it to even, actually had a 2-point lead very late. But Jalen Brunson hit a fadeaway jumper over Wemby. Yes. What a shot. I don't think he's getting enough credit for that shot. And he had a horrible shooting night. He was 7 for 25, but number 7 was as good as it gets. Then he hits a foul shot after Wemby's inexcusable turnover. He's had 2. He had 1 late in Game 1 and that one late in Game 2, and then he misses the open jumper. The Knicks, this has been a back and forth series, and I got a lot of people telling me that they don't think the series is over. I do. Personally, I just think, it's kind of like, it's not like the Cleveland series, but it is. I mean, even if the Knicks split and go up 3-1, I think they're going to get the horse in the barn in this series.
So, Rich, I'm going to tell you this. Last week, I really felt strongly that the Knicks were a better team than the Spurs. I still think that Oklahoma City is a better basketball team. I think we look at athletes, young athletes that they haven't really figured out a lot of what's going on. You see them take turns and guys disappear in these games. Was Champagne, that's how he pronounces it. He went 5 for 6 in the first half of game 1, disappeared in game 2. What's the number 5?
Castle?
The UConn kid. He just looks like he's going to throw a hissy fit. He's got that look on his face, like not like the veteran guy going up to the referee and saying, "What are you doing to me?" He's almost like he looks like he's a little lost. And so he's been sort of a non-factor in this whole thing. Wemby, 22 years old, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
He needs 25 more pounds and a lot more basketball under his belt before he's going to be the guy. Okay, he's really good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he can't carry a team to a long distance, but the Knicks are cold-hearted right now. Mm-hmm. They played their worst game in game 2. They gave the game away. Brunson did not shoot well, still got points, but did not shoot well. To see them, the first time I've really seen them collapse in the fourth quarter and still come out and win the game. When it came right down to it, when they needed a shot, the Knicks got it, Spurs didn't. So I look at it and say, there's going to be a lot. The Garden is going to be insane.
Yes, it is.
And then you add Trump to the whole thing, right? It's going to be even further insane. And I don't know if the Knicks get up 10 in the second quarter, that it could just be over. Yeah. I'm not saying they're not going to score points. I just don't know. Looking at San Antonio as what I thought they are, as a bunch of young, really good athletes, going to be really tough to beat as time goes forward. But I just don't know if they can, at this point, that this is the Knicks. The Knicks look, I said, cold-blooded. They just look like they got it figured out. And I love Bridges throwing up, taking over when the other guys couldn't score. I love all those guys coming in and keeping them in the game. And then I also like the fact that they do attack Wemby every once in a while. They get a little, they drive in on him and get him out of position or whatever it may be. I do like that they're not afraid to shoot over him as well, because every time they're making him move all over the place. If you look at Wemby on defense, he's out by the 3-point line, then he's underneath the basket. He's all over the place. Yep. And I think he missed that shot at the end of the game. People say, well, easy shot, he should have had it. But they already said he was trying to shoot it and worried about where the rebound was going to go if he missed. Not, I got this. This is practice shot. I can do this all day. But I at this point, Rich, if you're asking me now, I think it's a sweep. Wow. I think it's a sweep. But again, a
lot of people think like you.
But I think again, but to me, if it's not a sweep, it's 6. I think it's 6. But that would be what I didn't want it. It's because now that you looked at it, now that I see the two teams on the court together, I think that what I saw is correct. And don't forget also, Knicks got their number a little bit. They beat him in the cup earlier.
Oh yeah, they beat him 4 out of 5 this year.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for that. But to me, the guy that has been the difference maker in this series, John, is Karl Anthony Towns.
Yes.
He has. Yes. He's not been afraid of Wemby. He's gone right after Wemby, gone right around Wemby. 21 and 13 again in game 2 after a solid game 1. To me, he's the guy that has stepped up and has given the Knicks what they've needed. Because you look at this series, and you look at both games, the Spurs had double-digit leads at some point in both games.
Yeah.
And yet they couldn't get the horse in the barn. And I think Towns has had a lot to do with that. He was big in the third quarter in game 2. brought the Knicks back. They were 13-14 down in the third quarter, brought them back, and then set the stage for the fourth quarter, of which the Knicks got way up, and then they were able to, like I said, get the horse in the barn. So I think if the Spurs are going to get one, it's going to be Monday night. I really do. I think that's I think they're going to be a more focused team. I think it's interesting that Vegas only has the Knicks favored by 1.5 points. I would have thought they would have been a little bigger favorite in the game. So, and again, they don't build those big buildings for nothing. But I do think that the Knicks end up winning, and they might be a gentleman's sweep. They might win in 5.
Yeah,
which
it's
would
possible.
be winning in San Antonio, which would not be surprising.
I agree. And the other thing too, just to mention one more player, Hart. I mean, he is Josh Hart. I mean, it is Josh. Yeah, Josh Hart. I second guessed myself. But Josh Hart rebounds, loose balls, plays hella defense. Again, that's to say, they're basketball players. All of them are basketball players, and guys coming off the bench, Mitchell Robinson can lean on Wemby a little bit. You just see that they got guys to do that. They're what do they go? Probably 9 deep, and not feel like they're going to lose much going 9 deep. That's really good. That's really good.
It is. All right, Stanley Cup final. Holy smokes! If you haven't watched these games, man, you are missing out. And last game was incredible. Vegas, I think they've been the better team for more of the series, but they are having trouble getting the horse in the barn, if you will. They're having trouble slamming the door shut. Carolina has been able to score 9 goals in the third period and overtime in the series. Vegas gets up 4-0, and that's with a goal disallowed on an offside. They could have been up 5-0. And then, Mitch Marner has the hat trick. Hello, Toronto. How are you?
Yeah. Gosh.
Has the natural hat trick, fastest in Stanley Cup final history. Carolina says, hold my beer. We're going to score 3 goals in 39 seconds of the third period, then score late on a power play. And it was a legit power play. The Theodore put the puck over the boards. That's automatic. See, that's what I like. There's no subjection there. It either goes over the boards or it doesn't, and it's automatic penalty if it doesn't touch anything or anyone on the way out.
Yeah.
And he owned it after the game. Said, "Listen, I got to be better there. I got to make sure the puck stays in play." Yeah. Of course, it's a lot easier to talk about it after you end up winning a double overtime game. I thought the series could have been over if Carolina would have finished off with that overtime win. Instead, they end up putting the puck in their own net.
Right.
Just reminded me of Steve Smith against Calgary in '89. Just an own goal. So Vegas is up 2-1. Vegas has had the better of the play, and yet I still think Carolina is more than alive in this series. As a matter of fact, you'll find out a little later how much alive I think they are.
I would be surprised if this doesn't go 7. I would be surprised. And the games themselves, heard a little chatter today on listening to little sports today about how hockey has become a little bit more freewheeling in somewhat. It's nice to have a 5-4 double overtime game as opposed to a 1-0. Somebody scores and then they just sit on the puck. The New Jersey Devils came up in the conversation and said how they basically ruined hockey for about 10 years with the idea that the left wing lock, or what was it called again? That was
what it was called, the left wing lock.
And you could do nothing. And of course, obviously changing the rules around, having a 2-line pass that you didn't have before, because it just changed everything. Everything isn't stuck and at center ice. So I think that really changed it a lot. And you see guys now, they're getting to use their skills. It's not obviously international hockey, but it has a little bit more of a flair like the international hockey does.
So Vegas up 2-1, game 4 Tuesday night in Vegas. If Vegas wins, they get control of the series and are up 3-1. So a very interesting game, very interesting series. If you're not a hockey fan, and you haven't watched, give it a period or two. I mean, these two teams, they seem very evenly matched. There have been things that have been going on in the series that are, well, again, you're talking about, you're talking about Vegas scoring 4 goals in the second, and Carolina coming right back saying, "Hold my beer," and scoring 4 goals in the third. No game is ever over in this series, and the first team that thinks that way is going to be in trouble.
And think about this, Rich, too. You always talk about hockey. It's always saying which goaltender is going to stand on his head to win usually wins the MVP, right? They even Carolina, they're not quite sure what they have in goal right now.
No,
and what's this game? Hart, the goalie for
Connor Hart, for Vegas,
He's not setting anybody in the world on fire either. But is it the worst thing in the world to see some pucks go in the net? No, it's not. It just adds to the excitement. You see the crowd feeding off that stuff because it's definitely every time there's a rush down the ice, boy, you can feel that how the fans, especially the home fans, get fired up. So.
John be frozen. I hope this is not something that hopefully it comes back.
Hear you, you can hear me.
There you go. There you go. He's back. He's back.
We're all back, yes.
Yeah. So, all right. So, and I love the fact that they're playing NBA and then NHL. I hate the fact that nobody played Sunday night.
That was rough.
That's the best night of television, and neither sport's going to play on. That made absolutely no sense to me. None whatsoever.
Baseball, Rich. You could have watched the baseball if you wanted to.
Yeah, but but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
you got the finals, you got momentum, and both series take an extra day off. Now, the NBA says, well, maybe for travel from Santa, today you get there in 3 hours. You're in luxury. You're on a team plane. You're not traveling. Coach, I mean, come on.
As a player, I got to think that they probably want to play it. I don't know if that third day is really
keep the momentum going. Keep the mojo. Absolutely. All right, a couple more things. Tennis, French Open. We knew there was going to be 2 first-time winners. Let's give it up for Alexander Zverev. He desperately tried to choke away the men's title yesterday, but woke up in the 5th set and destroyed Caboli 6-1 to get his first Grand Slam and the first men's Grand Slam that wasn't won by either Carlos Alcaraz or Jannik Sinner. And that goes back a few years. I think 2022 was the last time.
It's funny, like the French Open almost seems like it was like the survival of the last guy up is gonna get there. And that's good. I mean, you'd like to see it shake up a little bit, although it was sort of like a very heavy attrition on the top end of the men's side. And so but again, clay courts back in the day, people were specialists on clay, and nowadays you see that you still see that clay can really take out some of the players.
Pete Sampras never got the career Grand Slam. He was my favorite tennis player, and I think he never got. I think he got to the semis once. But he certainly, he was not long in week 2 in a lot of those French Opens. So give it up to Alexander Zverev. So he finally got there. And on the women's side, Mira Andreeva, she won in straight sets. She was the seeded player, beat the qualifier whose name I can't even think to pronounce, but nonetheless, Andreeva gets her first major on the women's side. Good on her. Now she's got to try to do it again at Wimbledon. And this to me is what makes tennis really good. Okay. They go from the really slow, although it wasn't really all that slow, French Open clay to Wimbledon, which is like lightning. The grass courts in London. So you've got to
serve, attack the net,
serve and volley. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if Zverev or Andreeva can make it even to the second week of Wimbledon. Of course, there is no Carlos Alcaraz again. Jannik Sinner, has he recovered from the physical ailments that
Yeah.
In the French Open, I know you talked about that. That was one of your what's bugging me's. But certainly it brings some intrigue to that tournament, the Fortnite coming up in early July, late June, early July in London. The 941 Sports Zone brought to you by Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida, locally owned, nationally backed, 941-251-4257. They go up and down the Gulf Coast, delivering exceptional roofing, not only for homes, but for businesses as well. 941-251-4257. Golf, JT Poston. What a day. Ended up playing 35 holes because of severe storms that rolled through Dublin, Ohio on Saturday. And if you're a golf fan, how about 10 hours plus, almost 11 hours of golf?
A lot of
Sunday,
golf.
If you had
And
ESPN Unlimited.
At one point, Rich, 5 guys with 2 holes to go were all tied at 11 under. And you're like, well, how is this going to shake out? And Poston looked like he had lost the lead. He was over par for the day, and then goes out there and gets zones in and can't miss a putt the last 4 holes, and ends up winning on 2 extras, which made it for a great tournament, because that's a marquee tournament, because it's Jack's tournament. Everybody knows the course. There's been a lot of iconic shots around the greens. Paul Azinger puts it in to win his only major. I believe it was the PGA played there. But then you have the Tiger Chip. You have all the different things that happened at that course that were really, really very well known points in time, memories of that tournament.
And the great thing to me is Jack's always around. He was around. At the end, he was around the final pairing.
Yeah.
He was around Poston, and then
he watches them come in.
And then he was there for the playoff, and good on him. He's starting to age a little bit. My favorite player of all time. He's now 86. I hope he can hang around for a few more years. But his tournament, the guys love playing there. They love paying homage to him.
Yes.
And certainly nice job by JT Poston. To get the horse in the barn. Boy, what a roller coaster ride he was on, like you said. Looked like for all the while he was going to win easily. But as we've seen this year throughout, just when you think it's over, somebody else hold my beer. And they make comebacks, and good on Poston for those putts he made down the stretch.
And I know we're heading to the next one, Rich, but that's, looking at how the men played out. If you were doing what I was doing, flipping back and forth, the women were doing the same thing at the U.S. Open at Riviera, another course that we've seen a lot of over the years. They play the L.A. Open or whatever now it's called, the Genesis Open. Right. And and you had they're very well known for their kikuyu grass. You hear it all the time, right? Yes. How sticky it is and how you can't get out of it, and whatever it may be. And at a U.S. Open at Riviera, when they grow up a little bit, it is hard. It was very penal. That if you were in the rough, you were trying to chop it out and do whatever. And some big names coming down the stretch. You have obviously the winner, which is Nelly Korda, but then you had Charlie Hull, who has been sort of a fan favorite. She makes a big putt on 18 to hold to stay at 7 and post a number. But again, it was very well played. I thought it had a lot of compelling aspects to it, because the course was compelling.
Yes.
You know that you can't be right on 18 because you get stuck behind the trees. You know that there's certain holes. One hole where Humphrey Bogart used to sit under the tree and watch them play the LA Open. That you can't miss that so you're not alone. You can drive. The men can drive to 10 green, the short par 4. So there's little things like that are out there. These iconic holes. And the play was up to par. You had people chasing, you had people holding on, and then when it came right down to it, Nelly Korda sinks a slippery nine footer downhill to go up 1, and then does what everybody who plays weekend golf knows this. You make the putt, you win the match for $5, and you somehow or another yank that putt a little left and it catches the edge and doesn't. It should roll out, and it rolls in. You look around and say, "Wow, did I just luck out?" Because that was all about a little bit of a choke. If that's the case, you have the tendency is to stop your stroke or flip your putter a little bit. Went a little bit left. If that putt was another 2 inches longer, it wasn't going in. So it just
correct. 2.5 footer that. Yeah, no question about it. I love the fact that the winning score was -8. To me, majors, that's a nice score. I mean, the course, like you said, the course was tough, yet you could score a little bit. -8 is I think is very fair.
I watch LPGA golf because they play from the distances that I play from.
Right.
Okay. And so you're watching club selection. Oh, like you look and say, oh, I can hit a hybrid into a green that slope. Like you watch them hit shots that you might be. The club selection may be the same in a lot of cases. So it's kind of fun to watch. And there's certain golfers that, like some of the women that are out there that are, if they have compelling stories, because they're not, they're not like the pros we know. They're the men that, they all played college golf, this and that. The women do as well, but they're mostly younger, because a lot of times that they reach a certain age and they're like, hey, I'm peeling out. I started playing when I was 17 on the pro tour. I'm done. But I liked seeing like NG Chun. I think that she was like, a 3-time major winner. She's not like a crazy obsessive golfer. Had made missed four out of 7 cuts going into the tournament, and just kept scrambling away around the back 9. Bad drive, terrible decision on a second shot, drained a 12-footer for par. It was fun to watch those type of players grind it out and get into 18 where you still had a chance to win it. That was fun to watch. I'd say the last 9 holes of the women's tournament were really fun to watch.
Very compelling. One other golf note, and it involves LIV. It's sure beginning to sound like they're not going to make it to the end of the year. Some of the reports coming out now could be 2 or 3 tournaments left, period. And I wonder what happens at that point. Should be very interesting. I don't even know who won the LIV tournament, but that's not the important news, because if they all of a sudden just fold up, how does this becomes a complete mess? It already is a mess, but it really becomes a mess.
Well, now you have these guys, some of these guys, not all, but the big name guys are digging their heels in. They're doubling down on the rhetoric. Well, I'll just do this and I'll just do that, or whatever it may be. I will figure it out. There's big money out there who wants to do this stuff. Okay. No, you're not. You're because if you want, so let me see how much you love LIV. They paid you $150 million, $500 million, whatever they paid you to go there. And now you're saying you're all in on LIV because you love it so much and you want to see it go. Where's it going to go? It's not going to go anywhere.
Nope.
That's a traveling circus. Okay. It's hard enough from the PGA Tour to go from California or from Arizona to Florida and have all that carnival of people, the trucks, the merchandise, you name it, all going to the next place. How's that going to work for you financially when you're going from Singapore to somewhere in Miami, okay, or whatever it may be? It ain't going to work, because that's why a worldwide tour has a really hard time doing it, because it costs a lot of damn money to do that kind of stuff, and to get no return on your investment, 0 return on your investment, and you bought as many big name people as you can. I don't feel sorry for anybody in this scenario. They even said out and said, look, take the Koepka route out, and they didn't want any part of it. Now, I think the PGA the players are going to be like, too bad, man. You wanted to still try to kick sand in our face after we got the bully pulpit over you guys. Go do what you got to go play the Asian tour. Go do what you want to do it anyway. Go do it. Go have fun with it. Enjoy it. Now, so let's see how much you enjoy it. I want to see how much you enjoy team golf when you're splitting $20,000 between 4 guys, and one of them is the 450th ranked guy in the world, and you're the number 2 guy in the world, or you should be, and you're handing your paycheck over to him. Nah, Ain't gonna work.
All right. Before we get to our locks of the week, Pete Thamel of ESPN is reporting that there have been informal talks. We're going back to the Brendan Sorsby thing.
Yeah, Sorsby. He's all over Sorsby. He's pissed.
Yeah. Well, apparently there has been some informal discussions about Big 12 teams not playing Texas Tech this year.
I'm telling you.
Wow.
Rich,
I mean,
Rich,
that would be incredible, actually.
my ESPN feed, I get little blurbs. I get 12 of them. 11 of them were everybody how pissed off the writers are. This guy, everybody is up in arms. No matter whatever way you fall on politically or whatever it may be, there is nobody who says this guy deserves a second chance. Nobody except one judge in Texas.
Right.
That's the deal.
The NCAA is going to appeal. So this story will have plenty of legs throughout the summer for sure.
And listen, they're turning this kid Sorsby into a villain.
Martyr?
A villain. He's a villain now because they're like, what
Well,
you did.
They're not doing no. Now, John, I'm going to go back. I'm going to fight back a little bit. They're not doing it. He's doing it.
Correct.
He's doing it.
Right. And for this and again, if Texas Tech said we want to separate ourselves from this, thanks, but no, we're not going to do this. We don't want to cloud the around our program. But again, they're giving him a place to go to. They're not saying anything else. So that's what I mean about he could do it too. But man, that makes me worry because $5 million is $5 million. I'm not going to say that you shouldn't. That's significant. That's life-changing money. I understand that.
Sure is.
But at some point in time, you look and say, "Look, dude, you're caught. You're convicted. You're done. Take your punishment. And if you're really a good enough guy, it can circle back around. But this year, you're done. No college football for you." And they're fighting it. It's crazy.
Yep. All right, locks of the week. I'm catching up. I'm catching up. I had the Knicks winning at least one of the first two in San Antonio. Obviously, we know they won both of the first two. John, you were eliminated about 20 minutes after we went off the air.
I got very softball crazy, and I just kept on hearing how good Alabama was and how they're top to bottom. The lineup was great. They were number one in the country. All the different stuff, and it just didn't happen for them. They got overwhelmed by better teams. I'm not saying that Alabama wasn't a very good softball team, but they got beat. So, and I wanted to go towards that softball angle if I could, put it out there. But I'll live another day. It's okay.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Both semifinals, the team that won game one lost games 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Texas ended up losing the first game, and then they came back and beat Alabama twice. And Texas Tech did the same thing. I thought it was going to happen again in the final, but apparently Texas, back-to-back championships. Think about this. It's been Texas or Oklahoma for how many consecutive years, John?
Yes, it's amazing.
Because Oklahoma won, what, 4 in a row, 5 in a row?
Well, at least, and they've been holding fort. And you know what it is? Like if you watch these, those teams, they are seasoned. They've been there, done that.
Yep.
So it's not too big of a spot for them. And I thought, with Alabama, I thought they were a good team. I thought they could do that. I always kind of felt that the way Texas Tech was put together, that there was a lot of pressure on them because it was like, hey, we paid a lot of money for this, and we expect you guys to take the whole distance. And that got to be a little too much. And then, of course, softball, just like baseball, but a little different because you can go day to day with softball pitchers. When you got a really good pitcher who can control games, keep the ball down a little bit, it's hard to beat. It really is hard to beat.
So that puts you at 22-15 for the season. I think you've lost 3 of your last 4 weeks.
Could be
on best bets, and I'm 21-16. I'm a game back. This is about as close as I've been since we started this darn thing 37 weeks ago. All right, who you got?
So I'm going to go with sort of a little bit of the daily kind of guy who likes to bet on weird prop bets. So I'm going to say that Jalen Brunson scores 28 or over in the next 2 games at the Garden.
In both of them?
Yes.
Really?
He's going to go over 28 in the next 2 games. And that's where my sweep's going to be coming from. Okay. I just think that he hasn't had that Brunson take over.
No, he hasn't.
Win the game. And I think if there's a game, if they win tonight and there's a game 4, he's gonna go crazy to win that thing in the Garden with a sweep. I think that's what I said about I feel like a sweep. If the Knicks win tonight, I don't see how they don't sweep them, because I think that the young guys haven't been there at San Antonio, right. And I just think that the Knicks, that's when the assassins will come out and they'll be ready to go. Unless they get cocky and do something silly, I think it could be something similar to what happened with Cleveland when they swept them. So we'll see. So yeah, Brunson 28 or over for 2 games.
For 2 games, you could just do one. You could just say.
No, I think he's going to have a 38-point game, and I think he's going to carry. I could see him in a game where they're going to grind, that he comes out and gets his points early and often in both games. But I think he's capable of both. Both nights.
All right, I think I teased mine a little bit. I think my lock of the week is Carolina wins game 4. I think they're going to come out. Frederick Anderson's obviously a little peeved that he got lifted, although, hey, you give up 4 goals in a period, need to shake things up. I thought that was a great job by Ron Brindamore, and it lit a fire under his team.
Sure.
And they were able to score the full 4 goals to get back in the game. And again, it was just a fluky play. And I think that's what's going to fuel Carolina. I think Carolina wins game 4. And I agree with you. I think this thing's going 7. And I think even if Vegas were to score first, I think Carolina has the confidence now, especially scoring 9 goals in the 3rd period in overtime. They never think that they're out of a game. But I think this one's going to be. I could get really risky like you and like call it two or more goals. Carolina wins. I'm just going to say Carolina wins game 4. I think this is. Then I think it's a best of 3, starting on Thursday night with Carolina having home ice. But It's been a fun series to watch.
And I like when they take turns winning on each other's ice, because you never know it makes compelling that those last 3 games, 4 games, very compelling, that they know that they can win on either rink.
All right, final segment. What's bugging me? You want to hit the tee box there, young man?
Sure, I'll go first. And it's simple, very obvious. So obviously, what's bugging us both is a lot is the Sorsby situation. But what I'm going to say basically is that I think it's ridiculous how much money you have to spend to go see a basketball game in New York City tonight.
Oh, yes.
It's not like that. I get it. It's been a long time. They've been there before, and and if you can get it, look, I'm all about capitalism, my friend. Understand, if you bought tickets and you're a season ticket holder and you got those tickets or whatever it may be, then if you can make $100,000 selling your tickets or 25, whatever it may be, I have no problem with that. I really don't. If I was going if I had tickets to the Garden tonight, I would be looking to sell them, because that's going to be an what show. Okay. Yeah. Security. You got to get there 2 hours ahead of time. I would rather be sitting at the bar down the street
out three hours
in my living room watching it with my kids or my family. Yep. Forget it. But it is ridiculous that this can happen. And look, it's only happening because there is a secondary
market.
Yep. Secondary market for this. And it's not everywhere. Super Bowls, they get stupid amount of money for tickets as well. But this is insane. And so I think that's unfortunate for there's probably guys that have been at all the games of the Garden since '99, right? Maybe the guys who've been in the Garden since '73, since they led the last one, and they're probably priced out of this thing, and it makes no sense to go. Yeah. So that's bugging.
I hate to tell you, but that's what I had.
Okay.
The least expensive ticket, John, I just saw something as I looked up, $4,700.
Yeah.
I hope the scalpers eat those tickets. I hope they eat them.
Right.
Because, and it's sad because you're right. There have been people that have waited a long time for this. Okay. And yeah, if it's going to cost $600, $700, $800 a ticket, you might be able to do that. But the numbers that they're talking right now are just stupid. Over 10 grand per ticket.
Yeah.
And again, who's buying these tickets? I mean, seriously, I think it's garbage. I really do. And you're right. It is capitalism. And if somebody's going to buy them, hey, you know what? That's on them. But
here's what it is, Rich. You know this. So I'm a Jets fan. I wear it. I deal with it. And somebody said, if the Jets win the Super Bowl, you'd go, wouldn't you? And I said, nope, I'm not going. Yeah. Why? Because I'm going to sit with a bunch of people who aren't Jet fans. I'm sitting with people. If there's
dudes, yeah,
right, people who don't know, people from all over the world. This is who's buying these tickets up. Okay, yep. I don't know. Maybe there's a million millionaires in New York City. Maybe there is, right? Who this could be a drop in the bucket to. But I'm guaranteeing you, it's gonna. Everybody's buying Nick gear, and they're coming from Montana and you name it, Arizona. This is an event. It's turned into an event, just like the Super Bowl, and that's why they can get this crazy money, because the market is not just based on Nick fans competing with each other. It's very rich individuals from all over the world who want to be in New York City tonight.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that'll do it for this edition of the 941 Sports Zone. Episode 42 in the books, 43 coming up next week. We will have, I think the way it shapes up, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Yeah, we should have an NBA champion, and hockey, I don't know, because Game 7 would be Monday night.
Which would be cool.
So, yeah, it would be very cool. Tuesday, Thursday. Yeah, it would be Monday night because they're playing every other day from here on out. So,
and another real quick plug for the media day again.
Yes, please go.
Yes, and we're obviously working with Vibrant Aspect Media again, doing all their good work as far as the broadcast of the podcast. I wrote a list. I sent it to you earlier. Like I said, it said, did I miss anybody? 22, 23 teams maybe, if I'm not mistaken. Some new teams as well. So we're looking forward to a big turnout. We've got some different things going on. Matt Geller in all in this year, which is great.
Yes, he is.
So we're gonna have fun with him. But yeah, trying to make it a little even more of of sort of a fun day or a fun period of time for everybody who comes in, because the teams are coming in increments, and we try to make sure they get as much hospitality and airtime as we possibly can get them.
Right.
But looking forward to it. And it's funny because even the people that are the most sort of tried and true high school sports guys, they're even a little excited about the idea behind it. You know what I mean? And it's fun. Looking forward to that day, and we really, really look forward to everybody watching. And then obviously with all the stuff that's been going to be going on, and get a little tailwind on the 941 Sports Zone with that, so everybody starts seeing, subscribing and seeing what we're doing as well with that. So it's all part of that fun day. Again,
that day being January 24th.
Actually, July 24th.
Jesus, January. Oh, my Lord. July 24th. We kick it off at 8 a.m.
I'm sorry. Well, I told Francis 8:30 a.m.
Okay.
Right. Because I'm always like, we got to get going, because we if we can get it to be where there's a little more time with each team, that would be nice to do. And I'd love to go from that time till 4:30 in the afternoon, if that would be possible. So that would be great. But once again, it's a lot of fun. Carol GMC with a great job hosting it. Man, when first time I did it was 3 years ago. It'll be 3 years ago now that I did it there. That the whole setup that they put together is really, really cool.
It really is.
It looks.
That's Mrs. Carol, right?
What's that?
Is that Mrs. Carroll that puts it together?
Actually, it's there's a few people that are involved, but it ain't me. I can promise you that. I am not a detail person at any stretch of the imagination. So yeah, I leave it up to the more decorative type of folks, the more artsier type of folks. I just show up and say, wow, and then I'm off and running.
Again, July 24th, July, not January, July 24th. By the way, if you do like my brother up in Jacksonville, follow us on YouTube, give us a subscribe, give us a like, and give us some feedback. We'd love some feedback. We're on Facebook. We're on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, Instagram. We're everywhere. And my daughter's going to help after she gets off her cruise, and I hope she has a fantastic time. Getting us on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts.
Perfect. And I'll tell people too, especially the YouTube side of it, it's fun. I cast it onto my TV. It's really easy to do. And
it is.
There's nothing that people say, well, no, if you want to watch it on TV, that's great. And of course, if you can put it on, I will listen when I'm doing my exercises in the morning.
There you go. I've heard a few people have said that.
Yeah.
Few people.
I listened this morning to kind of make sure I remembered everything from last week. And I'm like, okay, that was that, because the timing is good on everything. So that's nice. Finished up with what's bugging me while I was eating my oatmeal. So everything timed out perfect.
Good to know that your oatmeal wasn't bugging you.
No. Me and my oatmeal, we love each other.
Stay natural. Stay natural.
All right. That's the one thing I don't miss is that oatmeal I wake up every morning to my oatmeal.
There you go. All right. So that's episode 42, as I mentioned, 43 coming up next week. Looking forward to it. For John, bring on Copperhead Masoni. Hit him straight, John.
I'll try to, Rich. If I break 90.
What I was going to say, there you go. Okay. So break 90.
Well, yeah, we'll play it twice. If day one I can break 90, then day two on Copperhead is when I try to put up a score. That's when I get my serious face on. Okay. And of course, it depends who you're playing with too, because if somebody else is playing bad and then they've decided it's time to have a couple of transfusions as opposed to playing the game,
right?
Then I'm like, do it on your own time. Don't be bugging me. So we'll see.
All right. I'm Spitz. We're out.
See you guys.
Till next Monday. So long, everybody.